Look at all my loyal followers. Yes! Grow and spread Halloween, my minions.
Yes, we'll do it.
Happy Halloween. I can say that whenever I want because according to my Halloween Horror Nights merchandise, it's Halloween every day. Every day is Halloween. Since every day is Halloween, this video is not late. Just celebrating another wonderful Halloween day. Went to Halloween Horror Nights 2022 with Rachel 1 and Rachel 2 as is tradition since 2016 minus the year with COVID. If you have not attended Halloween Horror Nights, you should. I would also highly suggest doing the Stay and Scream and getting the Express Pass. So what Stay and Scream is where you stay within the park and then you're able to get started before the park opens again for Halloween Horror Nights officially. It's extremely helpful if you're trying to avoid lines. This is how we were able to do all the houses plus 4 of them a second time. With the Express Pass, yes, it's extra money, but it's definitely worth it if you don't want to wait in all those lines. Some of those lines get really long, and in years past, we have waited in them. We were still able to do about 8 houses. We probably could have done 1 or 2 more, but we were so exhausted from standing and waiting that we just couldn't do it. We couldn't do 2 more houses. So highly suggest Stay and Scream. If for some reason you do not want to get the Express Pass, do the Stay and Scream. Express Pass, I would spend the extra money and just do it. So let's talk about the houses first. So the order we went in was Halloween was the first house we did. Then we did Fiesta de Chupacabras, Dead Man's Pier, Winter Wake, Spirits of the Coven, Hellblock Horror, Universal Monsters, Legends Collide, The Weekend, After Hours Nightmare, Descendants of Destruction, Bugs Eaten Alive, The Horrors of Blumhouse. That had both movies of Black Phone and Freaky in there. I liked both of those movies, so that was great. So for obvious reasons, I was not able to record inside the houses. I'm not professional, but I am going to describe each house and then we are going to give our combined ranking of the houses. The first house we did was Halloween House, and here are our thoughts about that. I really enjoyed the feeling as though I was walking through the movie. I will say we did not find it scary, but also Michael Myers is not scary to us. He's literally only after one person, and if you avoid her, then you're safe. Don't be her friend, just go live your life. You'll never encounter him. My personal opinion, and I feel like that's shared between the Rachels, but I won't speak for them. We do think he's the least scary slasher man, but here we are. I really enjoyed how it felt like walking through the movie. There were scenes, specifically the one with the gravestone on the bed, and whenever she's in the closet, I say she because I don't remember her name. Whenever she's in the closet and he's in there and he's like trying to get her, with the knife, we got to experience that. So that was all really neat. I will say props to the people who created the scenery and the set. It was just not scary. I've seen the movie, wasn't scared of that either. Anyway, that is just our thoughts. Fiesta de Chupacabras. I just want to say that this was very well done. I was very excited and very happy with this house. This was actually Rachel 1's favorite house. I liked how in the beginning, before you start seeing anything about how the house is set up, you can hear fireworks and the angrily growing chupacabra. It's almost as if the fireworks are covering up his angry little growls. So it appeared as though there was some kind of celebration taking place. People with masks were standing around. You know what? It was a celebration, just not a normal one. The farther you walked into the little Mexican town, the closer you came to harm. And we all know the closer you are to harm, the farther you are from danger. Towards the middle to end, the chupacabra starts popping out. It was kind of awesome. I really thought it was cool because he would really go out into the aisle. And he was big. Though I will say, I don't know what Halloween Horror Nights deal is with gross bathrooms. But of course, there was one present in this house. And it was gross. I can do without them, just saying. So all in all, 10 out of 10, loved it. House number 3 was Dead Man's Pier, which was of course my favorite house. I'm still not over how awesome it was. Generally, the plot goes as follows. You're in a frozen fishing town. There was snow and it felt cold inside, which I really like it when they do that because you can just really start to feel what's going on in the story. So as you enter, there also appears to be some kind of curse going on. Unsure what it is at the beginning. There was also a statue at the beginning of a girl playing a violin, and throughout the house you can hear violin music as you are going along, and it slowly gets louder. There's little cursed fishermen and submarine people everywhere. And as you continue through the house, the snowstorms really starts picking up. You go through different ships around the harbor until you end up on the outside of all the boats. The storm is raging on, and one of the parked ships off in the distance, there's a little ghost-like violinist girl playing her violin and shrieking into the wind. It was pretty cool. So I just thought it was really cool how it was all tied together. That's one of the things I like about the Universal Studios made houses. It just feels like I'm walking through a brand new story, and I really like that. And this specific house, loved it. And I didn't think I would. I thought this would be my least favorite house. I thought, we're wasting time going to this house now. This is why you should do all the houses, because you never know what'll surprise you. Alright, so this was another one of my top houses that I liked a whole lot. Spirits of the Coven. I really liked the atmosphere of this house. As you enter, you're walking into a speakeasy. All seems pretty fine at the beginning, minus a few aggressive speakeasy workers. As you continue, there are clues to suggest there is a much more nefarious plot. You know, witch stuff. The last room you enter holds the Queen of the Witches, who looked super awesome, by the way. Very nice job. I will say this house wasn't as scary to me, but I really liked the atmosphere. I really felt like I was descending into a witch coven. I also like that it was set in the 20s. It's not a time period where it just screams witches, so I just really like how they did something out of the norm. Very original idea. I liked that. From here, we went to the Hellblock Horror, which this one we enjoyed. We got a lot of good scares. A quote by Rachel 1 that I think all three of us can agree with. Walking through a prison itself is scary to me, much less a prison with alien monsters getting loose. There really wasn't much story beyond the prison just going wild. But, you know, sometimes that's all you need for a fun time. Legends Collide was the next house we did. And this house in particular, all of us were pretty excited for. This was Rachel 2's favorite house, and she got a bunch of good scares. She was walking in front of us. We have an order we walk in. I am middle, Rachel 2 is first, and Rachel 1 is in the back. But Rachel, it was fun to watch because she was getting all the scares. It was fun. Very enjoyable. In this house, it's kind of set up, there's a little bit of a backstory. There's some kind of curse that's happening. Wolfman shows up at these ancient ruins, and then everyone starts duking it out. So that's what's going on within the house. I very much liked the concept. We all picked someone that we thought would be the winner. I picked what I thought was the most underdog, and that was the Mummy. Rachel 2 picked Dracula, and Rachel 1 was the Wolfman. We all had our little person we were rooting for. Turns out that Dracula and the Wolfman were no match for the mummies. Yes, that's right, the ultimate underdog took him down. Dracula got staked in the heart, and the Wolfman lost his head. And with that, the Mummy became the reigning king of the Legends Collide house. Will they be resurrected and return? We'll be sure to let you know in case they do another Legends house for this upcoming year. Okay, so let's talk about the Weekend house. None of us are really big Weekend fans. I like the Blinding Lights song, but I don't understand how it would be scary. Even walking through the house when they'd play it, I thought, I just want to dance. I'm sorry. I have boogie feet. None of us really knew any Weekend songs, but they definitely played enough while we were waiting in line for all of the houses, and also within the house for us to kind of grasp the concept of what was going on. It was still a fun house. It was just not as fun as the others to us. It was definitely interesting, and at one point Rachel 1 felt like she was in the Super Bowl. So, you know, that's pretty cool because it's unlikely we'll ever be there. Specifically, some cool parts, there was another gross bathroom. I felt like a lot of the scare actors were the same type of costume, which you could argue that same thing applies to the Hell Block horror, but I'm also a sci-fi nerd, so that just kind of rings a little more in my heart than crazy plastic surgeons. It was interesting, but it just wasn't the favorite. Descendants we liked. There's a bunch of fighting, mutants, and stuff like that. It feels as though we start to travel beneath a city, and that's where they all live, underground. So these people are like coming up and we're fighting them at the beginning, and then we start descending into their realm, which is underneath the city. They got trapped there somehow. I like to think in an earthquake, but that's just me. So this house was very, very fun. The sets were really great, and you really felt like you were in an abandoned subway area. There was also a scare here that occurred for Rachel 1 that didn't happen, because remember the order, Rachel 2 is first, I'm in the middle, and then Rachel 1's in the back. So she got a scare that none of the rest of us got, and then for some reason her reaction was to karate chop me in the back, and I just remember thinking, why? I even turned around and I thought, why are you doing that? Apparently it was my fault. Somehow. Here is what Rachel 1 had to say about the incident. She's even watched walkthrough videos, and for the life of her, she cannot see why the guy barbecuing questionable meats triggered both my flight and fight instincts at the same time. But he did, and it was awesome. That house was very well done. Alright, bugs eaten alive. For this house, it was set in the 50s, and basically what's happening is there's this new product available that gets rid of all the bugs in your house. Apparently, they didn't do enough testing on it, and things go terribly wrong. As you enter in this smart house that is using the technology that these people have created, and you just see it at the very beginning going awry. Things are messing up immediately. The people actually started turning into humanoid bug things, and at different points within the house, you could feel as though the bugs were crawling up on you. Did not like that. That freaked me out. There were also giant bugs as well. Those were very well done. The progression of the bugs taking over the house was kind of amazing to see, and to see the people becoming their little humanoid bug selves. Very cool. Also very scary. I distinctly remember a man with what looked like spider eyes on his face. That freaked me out. But yeah, very, very, very well done house. I enjoyed it. Blumhouse was the final new house we went to. In preparation of this house, we all watched the movie Freaky, because that's what was going to be in there. And we also saw the movie Black Phone, which I saw in the theater with Rachel 1 and Rachel 2. And there's a specific part in there where you see the child from the past, and I got emotional. We watched those movies and we were ready. So Universal does IPs, which is intellectual property houses, in such a way that you feel as though you are stepping into the movie itself. We liked the order of Freaky being first and Black Phone being second, and it had good pacing throughout. It went from a very slasher vibe from Freaky to a tense vibe of Black Phone. Rachel 1 specifically said, I loved the feeling of being in the slasher movie because that genre is one of my favorites, and walking around the grabber gave me the heebie-jeebies, reminiscent of having to walk by Krampus. Very well done. So backstory to that, the first house we ever did at Halloween Horror Nights was Krampus. At one point you have to walk by the giant Krampus, and that was very hard for us because we were scared. We were noobs. Not noob anymore, veteran. So once we finished the houses, then we decided to poke around through the scare zones a little bit. And then we did the 4 that we did for Stay and Scream. So we got 4 whole houses done during Stay and Scream. We did not use our express passes for it. For the express pass, you're only allowed to use it once per house. So we decided, hey, let's go use our express pass for the ones we didn't use it for. So we went and did that. And that was Halloween we did again, which the second time was better than the first. There was a lot more scares that happened. Chupacabras, loved just as much the second time. There were still more scares though, I think. Dead Man's Pier, enjoyed it again. And Spirits of the Coven, just really enjoyed seeing the Queen Witch again. Because she's cool.
What do you think of this night, Imogens? Terrifying, isn't it?
So, scare zones were Scarecrow Cursed Soil, Sweet Revenge, Graveyard Deadly Unrest, Conjure the Dark, and that was it. I could have really done with more scare zones. I like walking through them. I will say Sweet Revenge was my personal least favorite. They did have cute places you could take pictures, but it just wasn't scary, and I didn't really like the theming of it. Candy Company from the 1950s has turned kids into crazed killers. In my opinion, it's kind of dumb, but whatever. It was still fun, and there were some neat costumes in there, but not a favorite. Scarecrow Cursed Soil was okay. There's definitely some cool things there. Graveyard Deadly Unrest was my favorite. I think it was the general favorite of the group. Basically what's happening, on All Hallows Eve, a dark storm descends upon the cemetery and awakens long-dead spirits. These specters rise from their graves to capture souls for all eternity. No one living can escape them. Except obviously we did. But it was very fun. So, Conjuring the Dark was pretty neat because there was kind of a show that was happening, but at the same time, I would have liked the scare actors to wander through the streets a little bit more because I like that better. I do like that they had a full-blown show there that was cool. It was about 30 minutes long, but it kind of felt like it was just kept going, and I would have rather had the actors walking around. I skipped one. So another one of these scare zones was the Horrors of Halloween. This is where the Pumpkin Lord was, which we kept calling him the Pumpkin Lord because that was funny to us. But basically, the Pumpkin Lord, the spirit of Halloween, has returned to take over this year's event. So that's what's happening. So on top of doing the 14 houses, 10 houses plus 4, all the scare zones, we also even watched a show. This was Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire. These people were there last year, but we didn't get around to seeing it because we were worried about doing the houses and it was taking up all of our time. But again, with the Express Pass, didn't have to worry about time as much, so we went in and watched the show. Reading a summary of what the show is. The show that sparked a firestorm last year is ablaze with new nightmare. The pyro and aerial performers are back to reignite your fears. This show features the world-famous performance group, the Fuel Girls, and highlighting a new dreamer in the depths of a new nightmare set in the heart-pounding metal, rock, and electronic score. I will say the score was great. They did a good job with that. The plot was not well done, I would say. Academy of Villains did their plots a lot better, but maybe this group is new and they just need more practice. The performances were great, but the plot that was tying it all together was pretty lackluster to me, and whenever the little dreamer man would pop up, I just wouldn't care, really. I just thought, well, something's going on with you, and frankly, I don't know what you're trying to do. Plot could have been done a little better. It wasn't as immersive in that regard, but the performances were fantastic. I would definitely suggest seeing it if it comes back in 2023. All in all, this was a fantastic experience. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on what we're up to over here. Hope you have a super awesome, spectacular day, and I'll see you out there somewhere. Bye!